Hello, you are watching Aaj Tak AI and I am AI anchor Sana. Let's have a look at the AI health update. Many experts and doctors have warned that it's not safe to eat dry ice and liquid nitrogen. This advice came after a scary incident in Gurugram, where 5 people got sick and had to go to the hospital after eating these things. Now let's know this first. What is dry ice? Dry ice is really cold stuff made from frozen carbon dioxide, and it doesn't melt like regular ice. Instead, it goes straight from a solid to a gas without becoming liquid. This process is called sublimation. Dry ice sublimes at -78.5 degrees Celsius at Earth atmospheric pressure. People use dry ice to keep things cold for shorter duration, especially when regular refrigeration isn't an option. It's great for freezing and preserving foods like ice cream. Dry ice turns into a gas at an incredibly low temperature, which can be dangerous to touch without protection from frostbite. What happens when we keep dry ice in water? When you put dry ice in water, it makes a gas called carbon dioxide. Breathing in a lot of this gas can be dangerous, and dry ice is super cold. You need to wear gloves or use tongs when touching it to prevent getting frostbite. Never eat it because it can seriously hurt you. How harmful is dry ice for humans? Dry ice is dangerous if you don't handle it carefully or use it in places without enough fresh air. Touching dry ice can give you frostbite or burns because it's super cold at -78.5 degrees Celsius. Also, when dry ice turns into gas, it releases carbon dioxide, which can take up the oxygen in a room and make it hard to breathe, and in really bad cases, you could suffocate. So, be careful when dealing with dry ice, wear gloves, and make sure there's good airflow to stay safe and avoid getting hurt. What happens when you consume dry ice by mistake? Eating dry ice is really risky and can be deadly. Dry ice is just frozen carbon dioxide, and if you swallow it, it can seriously hurt you inside. When it touches moisture in your mouth or stomach, it turns into gas really quickly, letting out a lot of carbon dioxide. This can make too much gas build up in your stomach, causing problems like bloating, stomach pain, throwing up, and even life-threatening issues like holes in your stomach, or not being able to breathe because of too much carbon dioxide replacing oxygen. If someone eats dry ice, they need to get medical help right away. Here are few symptoms after consuming dry ice. Using dry ice is okay in places with good airflow, but be careful in small closed spaces. Dry ice can make too much carbon dioxide, replacing oxygen. Watch out for signs like dizziness or feeling short of breath. You can also have headache, confusion, disorientation, and bluish tint to the skin. But do you know how dry ice is made? Making dry ice is like freezing really cold air. First, they turn carbon dioxide into a super cold liquid. Then, they freeze it even more at a super low temperature of -109 degrees Fahrenheit and squash it into solid ice. Depending on how they make it, dry ice can end up as small pellets or big blocks. Now, unlike the ice we use in drinks, dry ice doesn't turn into a liquid when it gets warm. Instead, it goes straight from solid ice to gas in a process called sublimation. Dry ice is super chilly at -109 degrees Fahrenheit, way colder than the regular ice we know, which is only 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's have a look at dry ice history. Dry ice was found in the early 1900s and started being made for businesses in the 1920s. The name dry ice was first trademarked in 1925 by a company. It's often used in businesses because it can be used in many different industries and has various benefits. What are the safety measures that should be taken when handling dry ice? Put on thick gloves before touching dry ice because it can give you frostbite if you touch it with your bare hands. It's okay to have dry ice around food, but never eat it because it can give you frostbite inside your body. Only use dry ice in places with good airflow, and make sure the air doesn't have more than 5% carbon dioxide. What is the difference between dry ice and liquid nitrogen? Liquid nitrogen is super cold, way colder than dry ice. It can be as chilly as -346 degrees Fahrenheit to -320.44 degrees Fahrenheit. That makes it trickier and more risky to handle than dry ice because it's a liquid, not a solid. People often use liquid nitrogen to make things really cold, like freezing food or storing biological stuff in special freezers. In metallurgy, they use it to refine grains in metal. But most of the time, it's just a good way to store or move gaseous nitrogen around efficiently. Now, dry ice isn't as freezing as liquid nitrogen, but it's still pretty cold. People use it to ship frozen stuff because it can stay cold for up to a week in special boxes. In the food industry, they use dry ice to keep things cold during big mixing or grinding processes, like making hamburgers. They add dry ice pellets to the grinding to keep the temperature low and prevent bacteria from growing. Liquid nitrogen is usually too cold for jobs like that. The authorities in India, FSSAI, the United States, FDA, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, say that both dry ice and liquid nitrogen are dangerous and should not be eaten. Do tell us what you think about this video in comments section.